Hello there, friends and sane persons, and welcome to another episode of Wednesday Whimsy. My name is Kyle, and Wednesday Whimsy is a short show that I do every Wednesday evening where I talk about a board game, a top 10 list, or some other board game related topic, whatever I want to talk about, whatever has to be on my mind that time. It's a little later than normal. I just barely got back from a business trip to New York, so I thought I'd get in a little earlier, but as is always the case, travel surprises you. Anyway, here I am. It's still Wednesday, and I'm still excited to talk about my top 20 games of all time. These are obviously games that I really like. They're games that I have been, most of them, playing for a long time. There's a couple of newer ones, obviously. There's always some changes. However, this part of the list often has the fewest changes. We do know from previous lists that some games that used to be in the top 10 have fallen a little bit. So, obviously something else will have come to take their place. But I've got 20 games to talk about, and I don't want it to take 4 hours, so I'm going to go as quickly as possible, and let's get started with my number 20. My number 20 was a game that I didn't even want to play when I first saw it. It didn't even look all that interesting, but it's this Anunnaki Dawn of the Gods. It is a big game, and this was when I finally repented of my sins and decided to play it. It was an instant 10 out of 10 for me. This game just sings on so many levels. Now, I have not learned from my past mistakes, and I'm going to try to show some pictures here. Let's see if I can, if it doesn't shut down my stream. Here we have Anunnaki Dawn of the Gods. So you are going to be playing one of various ancient races of godlike beings, and you're coming down to the planets. You're spreading your influence. Oh, here we go. And you're trying to get the most points. But really the core mechanism of this game is there's this very interesting action selection. So on your board, you've got this little star, and each turn you're going to move the action selection pawn somewhere. And if you move directly to an adjacent spot, there's a bonus. So that's kind of where it works. And this action selection is just so fun. All of the different characters, the different races of gods, they have their own abilities. There's really a lot to love here. I really enjoy Anunnaki Dawn of the Gods. The only thing I don't love is the solo. But with 2 or more players, this game is fantastic. Let's go on to my number 19. My number 19, there's a game I talked to earlier about the Elder Scrolls, which hasn't quite replaced it. I mean, in some ways it's a better game, but Too Many Bones just has so many fond memories for me. I mean, I remember when it was in the pandemic times, I set it up and I just had it all over my table. And I just played it again and again and again because it was a great solo game. This is such a fun, interesting game that just doesn't feel like anything else. It is a short campaign. You're playing through a certain number of days trying to beat a big bad. And what you have is, that's actually a challenge you can do in the game. Do you even lift? But what you have is these characters that are all completely different. And you're rolling dice, but you've got this tech progression that's going on here, and every day after your tactical battle, you're going to upgrade some aspect of it. And the characters are different and fun and have their own flair to them, and they're just really fun. And it's there's a lot of content for this game. I think it's done. I don't think anything else is coming out. But honestly, I don't think it needs anything out. I think it's, complete. They signed the painting, and they can move on to other things, but I really enjoy Too Many Bones. My number 18 is Dune Imperium. Dune Imperium, one of a couple of games that came out at about the same time that all kind of tried the same shtick of having deck building and worker placement. And this is the one I think that really did it best. I enjoy Lost Ruins of Arnak as well, and I enjoy some of the others like Endless Winter, but this one just has a certain magic about it. Now, I do not like the Dune books. I didn't love the Dune movie. I didn't even see the second one. So this is not a theme here. This is just I mean, it's fun. The theme's fine, but the gameplay is so interesting and so tense. And this nice little, you don't have like a million workers here. You can get a third, but there's these different houses you can be that all have their own special abilities, and the conflicts are very tense and come down to the wire. And every game of this, I just, you're in it until the very last moment. I just think this game is a masterpiece. So that is my number 18, Dune Imperium. My number 17, I don't know why it's showing this. All right, my number 17 is a game that I came into earlier, well, I guess last year late at the retreat, but really came into it earlier this year when it finally came out and finally arrived to me, is Leviathan Wilds. Leviathan Wilds is a boss battler game, and it is a light boss battler. But sort of the hook here is that the game comes with, I forget how many, 18 bosses, and each one is different and has its own personality, but they do it in such a way that they're all easy to play. They're all just sort of 2 pages in a book, and you're going to be climbing around this boss and knocking out crystals, and you're playing cards and using action points. You're going to do some shuffle building as you kind of create a character of 2 different kinds of aspects of your character, and everything's going to be fun. Now, I do wish there were some more characters. There's plenty of bosses, though, and the bosses are obviously where the game's going to live and die, and it really lives. This game is fantastic. When I got my new set, I played every scenario just one after the other. I really enjoy Leviathan Wilds. My number 16 is another game I really enjoy, less exciting and less flashy than Leviathan Wilds, and also kind of ugly looking, is the Pirates of Maracaibo. So there's another game called Maracaibo, which I also enjoy, but Pirates of Maracaibo has largely replaced it because it does kind of the same thing, but in a faster, more accessible version. And hey, build a better mousetrap, right? It's not a looker. It is by Alexander Pfister, so same designer. But what you have is you're going to be sailing around this tableau of cards that makes a map. I guess this map of cards, so you can kind of see it there. And where you land, you're going to move 1, 2, or 3 spaces. The cards you land on, you can interact with. There's a bunch of different ways to score, a bunch of different varieties and ways to tweak the game, different modes of play. You can play with all the cards face down. So there's discovery, for example. There's some extra treasures you can add. And there's just a lot you can do with the game. There's an expansion that's pretty good, too. And everyone's kind of, doing their own thing. But the game is really fast. And I think the speed of the game just puts it slightly above its older brother, Maracaibo, and I really enjoyed the Pirates of Maracaibo. My number 15 is another great big game, and it's a big game I've loved for a long time. It is my second favorite Uwe Rosenberg game. I guess that's a spoiler. This is A Feast for Odin. A Feast for Odin is known for being a big game, right? It has a huge board. I think it's something like 63 worker placement spots. And each turn you're going to be placing a worker on, 1 or more workers on a worker placement spot and doing those actions. But the fun of the game is the wide variety of things you can do. You can focus on farming, right? There's these animals that they're easy to upkeep, and they they reproduce, and so they'll give you a lot of points. You can focus on getting these islands, and the islands are kind of the most fun part because you can fill them up with junk, and as you fill them up with junk, you get access to other bonuses. And there's raiding and whaling and collecting resources and all kinds of things to do, but this is really a game that you can just decide what you're going to do and try something new every time you play. And it's really fantastic. Now, I will say it's a huge game, and I don't know that I like it at any player count other than solo or 2 players. I played it with 3, and that just felt a little bit too much. So, but as a two-player game, this is really a fantastic one. It's definitely a masterpiece by designer Uwe Rosenberg. My number 15, A Feast for Odin. My number 14 is a new game. This is a game that came out last year. It was, I believe, my second favorite game of last year. It is a game that every time I get a chance to play it, I am just raring to go. This game is SETI, the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. And in this game, you are trying to find alien life. And you're going to be doing a bunch of different things. You're going to do various actions on your turn until you have to pass, and that's usually when you run out of resources. But there's this large solar system that you're moving around. You're exploring planets. You're sending out signals, and ultimately you're trying to find one of two alien life species that will show up each game, and then interact with them and try and mine them for points. The game comes with, I believe, 5. And I think there's an expansion that comes out that I think adds 3 more. Expansion isn't widely available yet. Hopefully it will be soon. I think 3 is too few. I think the game needs to have about 10 more on top of the 8. So 18 to 20, and then it'll be a masterpiece. As it is, it's a lot of fun, and it's a surprisingly easy game to get into, regardless of how big it is. So I really took a shine to SETI last year. That is my number 14. My number 13 is Uwe Rosenberg's best game, and this is Le Havre. Le Havre is a very economic game, but it is a game that, I think it's a weird game, right? Because it doesn't look like much. It has some worker placement, but you only ever have one worker. So on your turn, you're either going to place that worker out and activate some sort of a building, or you're going to take a pile of resources. And the resources are going to constantly pile up, and eventually someone's going to get them. But just having the resources isn't enough. You're going to have to figure out ways to convert them, because each resource token can be flipped over to the other side, and on the other side is a better version. And the better versions are, you can sell them for more money, you can use them to build better buildings, you can build buildings, your own buildings, and then when other people use them, they have to pay you a fee. At the end of the game, you just want to have the most money. And buildings are a great investment because they're worth their dollar value. And you can also sell them if you need money. There's a whole lot of feeding your people going on. There's really a lot going on in this game. Now, I will say that the game is a 2-player game. I don't really like it at any count other than 2. It's okay solo. But the way that the turn order works, there's 7 actions each round. And so with 2-player, you're going every other turn. So somebody has 4 actions, somebody has 3, and then the next round it'll be the reverse. With 3 players, everyone's getting 2 actions around, and then you got to feed your people, and it feels like the game goes on longer than it should. And I don't know, you can't ever do what you want. But at 2 players, this game is fantastic. So that's my number 13, Le Havre. My number 12 is one of the most played games on this list. Not my most played game, although I've played it a lot, but I have some young people from church who come over that really love this game, so it gets played a ton. And that is Unmatched. Unmatched is just such a fun game. As soon as I saw it and knew, or even I knew what it was, I kind of fell in love with it. It's a fantastic game. You're going to take some characters, and there's a bunch of characters from all over the spectrum. I don't even know how to say it. There are Marvel heroes and villains. There are literary heroes and villains. There's mythological heroes and villains, and you're just going to take 2 characters and fight each other. And the fighting is very simple. It's through card play. On your turn, you're going to move around a board. The board doesn't look like much, but it's very functional. For example, if you're on this yellow and purple space, you can hit any space that's yellow and purple if you're ranged. So it's ugly, kind of, but it's very functional. All the characters have their own special abilities, their own cards, their own decks, and they all feel different, and they're all really fun. Now, there's my initial comment was this game needs more characters. That was when there were 6 characters, 7 if you had the Bruce Lee promo. Now there are. I think there's at least 60 characters now. So, I mean, we definitely have enough. There's even more coming. The Ninja Turtles are on their way, and they're all really fun. I mean, this is a game that just keeps getting supported, and as long as it is, it's one of those games that, buying a new pack of fighters doesn't really change the rules very much. They might have a couple of small rules that you have to learn, but it's very easy to pick some old stuff and some new stuff and throw it together. I just really enjoy Unmatched, and I always know that there's someone who will play it with me, which definitely helps. So my number 12, Unmatched. My number 11 was my number 1 game of last year. This is a game that it just grabbed me. This is a boss battler game. It's the best boss battler game. This is Primal the Awakening. Here we go. Primal the Awakening. In this game, you are taking a character up against a boss. And the sort of, there's a campaign. It was kind of a mediocre campaign you can go through. But what the game promises for you is that you can take any boss and play it again at any level of difficulty. I guess we can just see some of the figures. There's a child inside the box. That's not even a joke. There are, each boss has its own deck of cards, its own mechanisms, but they're easy to get into, right? Because the boss, there's not like a whole lot of tactical movement of the boss around. You've got the boss on this circle, and you're moving around it and hitting it from different sides for, different bonuses. And sometimes you need to hit it from one side rather than the other. At its core, it's very simple. There are a lot of rules here. This game, I mean, the rule book's 100 pages. It's definitely not a beginner-friendly game. It's huge. It's hard to get to the table. It's fantastic solo. But it's great with other people, too. It's a game that requires a little bit of effort, but it's really worth that effort. It really pays off. I love Primal. It's a game that I'm always looking to play. I'm kind of worried about getting that box out because I might get a hernia. But mine are all nicely painted too. My friend Victor painted them for me. I just love this game. It's one that just always delivers. So my number 11, number 1 from last year, Primal. And now we go in to the top 10. And since we're in the top 10, I can do the numbers. Hooray! So let's go on to my number 10. All right, my number 10 is a game that has been on my top 10 list for a long time. I think it once got as high as number 6. And it's been down into the 30s. It kind of fell off for a while. It was on the list, on the top 100 list, but I just wasn't playing it a lot. And then it came out with an expansion that changed everything. This game is Ashes: Rise of the Phoenixborn. Let me find it here. Here we go, Ashes. Ashes: Rise of the Phoenixborn. And I enjoy base Ashes, sort of competitive Ashes. I think it's a lot of fun. You've got these different I don't love the deck building. It's a little too open. But if you play just sort of base deck against base deck, it's a lot of fun. But it's a game where the person who knows how to play better will win, right? It's definitely the kind of game that you get better at. And because of that, it's a hard one for me to say, okay, look, here, let's play this game. I'm going to kick you around for a couple of turns, and then you'll finally know how to play and be able to have a good time. And so I never got it played. But then they came out with Red Reigns. And Ashes Red Reigns is just it's one of my favorite solo experiences. It gives you a big bad that you can make as hard as you want, and you can take any deck and just go at it. And there are ways you can customize the big bad, right? They're always going to have one aspect, but the aspect could be made up of a couple of different sub-aspects. Anyway, There's 7, I think, different bad guys, and they're all pretty fun. Some of them are amazing. The most recent, the Phoenix one that came out, is just a lot of fun. But it lets you sort of set up and play and have a good challenge. You can have the right level of challenge, whatever you want it to be. It's a brilliant system, well designed, well run, well supported. There's Ashes Ascendancy coming out, which is going to offer a new kind of solo play. I'm hoping it's as good or even better. But as long as stuff keeps coming out for Ashes, it's going to stay on my list. And now that it's solo playable, I can play it. So that's my number 10, Ashes. Also, the artwork's fantastic on this game. Let's go on to my number 9. All right, my number 9, I'm a little bit surprised that it's fallen so far. I mean, it's still in the top 10. This was for a time my number 1. Um, but it's, over the past couple of years, it's fallen a few slots just because it's a hard game to get to the table. It is a hard game to learn. It is a hard game to teach. It's a game where you have to tell people, look, your first game, you're going to lose. You're not even going to lose. I'm going to wipe the floor with you. And there's nothing you can do about it except learn the game, learn what's coming, and you'll get better at it and have a better time. And that game is Twilight Struggle. Twilight Struggle is one of the most thematic games in existence. It takes you through the entire history of the Cold War. Sure, yeah, it's ugly, right? I mean, this is not a looker. But it's a game, it looks like it's a war game, but it's not. It's a much more subtle game. You're slowly influencing different areas, trying to get just a little bit ahead. The card play system in this game is interesting. You've got, a hand of cards. And each card has a value and an event, and you might play the card for one or the other, but if you play it there's cards that belong to you and some to your opponent, and cards for your opponent will always happen. So then you're trying to do damage control. It's just a really interesting system. It's this is the best implementation of it. It's been used in other games, but Twilight Struggle, it's a game that's just so satisfying. It's a game. Every time I play it, I'm like, yeah, this was fantastic. I wish that I had somebody around that could play it with a little bit more, and then it might creep its way back up. It's still top 10 material, though. I enjoy Twilight Struggle quite a lot. It's also an older game. I mean, this game's been around. When did it come out? If only I were on the internet and could check. 2005. It's definitely been out for a little while, but it holds up really well. Let's go on to my number 8. Where's the 8? Here's the 8. All right, my number 8 has been on the top 10 for a while, and it still is. It's, again, so there's been some movement around, but it's a game I really enjoy. And there's so many versions of it, which is probably why it's kind of split, because there's some versions that I really like and some that I like a little bit less. But this is Great Western Trail. This is the old version of Great Western Trail. Let's see if we can't find the new version of Great Western Trail, which is the version you can get. In this game, this is at its core, it's kind of a deck building game. You are moving around this track, and it's a one-way street. You go a couple of spaces. You're going to stop on a spot, do some actions. But mostly what you're trying to do is kind of prune your hand of cards so that you have all different cards when you reach the end of the trail, because that's going to be, you're going to turn it in for money, you're going to be able to go up on a track, and you're going to do it again. There's a lot of things to focus on this game, a lot of ways to get points. You can, do whatever strategy you like, and I think that's just fascinating. It is not an easy game to learn. It takes, it's one of those games that the first time you might not do very well, but it's really just so fascinating. Now, there are 3 other versions, is that correct? 2 other versions. Well, 3. There's El Paso, which is the short version. There's Argentina, and there is New Zealand. And I actually think New Zealand is probably the best game of the series. It's just really fantastic. But the classic Great Western Trail is definitely the easiest to get played, because it's the one that I've played the most. I just really enjoy this game. It's very satisfying. And even though I don't always do very well at it, I just always have a fantastic time. Oops, I'm still saying Twilight Struggle. This is clearly Great Western Trail. Anyway, let's go on to my number 7. All right, my number 7 is special because it was the first episode of Wednesday Whimsy I ever did. This game is a pirate-themed game, is a card crafting game. This is Dead Reckoning. Dead Reckoning is just a fantastic game. Okay, I will say the box art doesn't look like much, but the gameplay is where it's at here. So you are a pirate, and I mean, you're a captain of a ship that may be engaging in piracy, and you're building up this ship, trying to make it whatever you want it to be. But what you're really doing is you have a crew of cards, and it's, I think, 12. It's a certain set number. I think it's 12. But it's a set number of cards, and you're never going to be getting new cards in your deck. You're always going to have the same ones. So what you're going to do, though, is buy these little transparent things that are going to go in on the top of the card. Oh, here's the Korean version. Are going to go in on top of the card and will make it a little bit better. So as the game goes by, even though you have the same cards, they're constantly getting better. And then it's up to you how you want to focus, right? So this is the board. You can explore it and try and get stuff that way. You can try and colonize islands. You can just attack other people and hope for plunder. You can, make runs out, get some money, and bring it home. There's just a lot you can do, and it's a game that keeps on giving. Now, there's a couple of campaign expansions. There's a campaign that wasn't great, but there's these saga expansions that sort of add a legacy-like feel to it. You're just going to be slowly changing the deck or interacting with different things in a storybook, and I really enjoy those. But even without them, Dead Reckoning is a really fun game. It's a big game, and it's not for everybody, but I really took a shine to this one. So that's my number 7, Dead Reckoning. Let's go on to number 6. All right, number 6 has fallen a few slots. It was my number 3 last time I did this, but I still really enjoy it. This is the Zoo game. This is a game this is a game that I get to play a lot, especially because it's on Board Game Arena, and I have friends that don't even play a lot of board games that'll play this with me. This is a game about building up a zoo. You are doing so in a very interesting way. You've got these cards that are going to be your actions, and each turn you're going to select one of the actions to perform, and depending on how far over it is on this strength track, it looks like we're having some technical difficulties. Well, I guess we were zooming in far too much. Well, anyway, depending on how far it is on the strength track, that's going to determine your action, and then it's going to sort of reset and have to accrue its strength again. And then mostly what you're doing is buying enclosures, trying to fill up your zoo, buying various things to get into your zoo, and mostly, obviously, putting animals in as well. You're unlocking bonuses. You're trying to move up on different types of point tracks. This is just a really fantastic game. And I'm always looking forward to playing it, especially on Board Game Arena. I do think I would love for it to have another expansion. I think, we got to have camels in the game. There are no camels. There's a camel on the large animal scorecard, but there's no camel animal, which is a real disappointment. So bring some camels, please. Anyway, that's my number 6, is Ark Nova. Oops. Let's go on to number 5. All right, my number 5 is a new game. This game I discovered on the Board Game Cruise this last year. It was shown to me by the designers, and I immediately fell in love. This is just such a great game. It's a heavy game. It's a big game. This is Galactic Cruise. Galactic Cruise, you are running a cruise company, and you're trying to get the resources you need and build up your ships so that the kind of ships people would want to visit. And you're scheduling cruises, and then ultimately, hopefully, you're going to be sending people on cruises and getting points in a variety of ways. It is a big game, but the graphic design here is fantastic. The game comes with amazing player aids. This is a prototype version. Well, looks like we can't find a good picture. It's come a long way since the prototype days. Sorry about that. But anyway, Galactic Cruise is a really fun game. It is new to my top 10 list, or top 100 list, new to the top 10, but it definitely deserves to be here. This is one I'm always in the mood to play. And it's a great one to introduce to people because it looks like it's going to be really intimidating, but it's just so smooth and so player friendly. It's like every decision that could have been made to make this big game palatable was made. It is a masterpiece in design and presentation, and it's a lot of fun. So that's my number 5, Galactic Cruise. My number 4 is up next, and it is... My number 4 has had somewhat of a revival. It was a little bit lower last time I did the list, I think. It's just because I wasn't playing it, and then I started playing it a lot. This is Revive. Revive is so good. It was my number 1 the year it came out. Anyway, all of my top 10 are 10 out of 10s for me, I think. But Revive is so good. There's so much to love here. There's these tracks you're moving up, and how you move up them is up to you. And as you get points, you're going to get bonuses that you can unlock, and those are special actions. The expansion to this game is so good. It gives you more things to focus on. You're trying at kind of the core, you're exploring this world. You're trying to buy cards and put them in your deck to do better and better things. It's not a deck building game because you don't shuffle your cards at all, but the cards you use are sort of out for a reset, hibernation. You're building buildings, trying to put them in the best places. There's a lot of interaction as people will take the things you want. And then there are these special abilities, and the special abilities are all fun and add a different thing to do and focus on in the game. I'm really excited for Recall, which is by kind of the same design team. I don't know if it's going to be Revive 2.0 or not. I haven't really seen it yet, but I think mine is shipping soon. So I really like Revive. It's a fantastic game. It's one that I'm just always itching to play. And that's the sign of a game I love. All right, top 3. And the top 3, well, 2 of them, I guess if you know me, the 3 I haven't talked about yet. So let's get going. All right, my number 3 was my number 2 last year. And this is a game that is very heady. And that's why it's fallen just a little bit, is because I mostly play it solo because it's so heady. But this is Spirit Island. Spirit Island, you are an island spirit, and you are trying to drive back the invaders, the colonists who are trying to take over your land and build it up. And each of the different characters is so different. And there are all these, and okay, look, this is what the game looks like. It doesn't look like much, but at its core, it's all about the way that you sort of exploit your different abilities and how you upgrade and what you advance. And then there's so much cooperation because each spirit is pretty complicated. And so, you need to rely on other people to kind of take care of their own area as well as you're slowly trying to go through and scare the colonists away and move yourself toward a victory condition. There are so many spirits. I did once a list of my top 10 spirits, and there's an app version which is pretty good, not amazing, but pretty good, and it's a good way to kind of play it on the go. But this game just delivers. I think it's probably done. I don't know that anything else is coming. I mean, Greater Than Games has kind of shuttered itself. But that's okay. I was hoping for one more character. I was hoping that Akash Bhutha would finally be a playable character in this, but because she's apparently, she's a character from Sentinels of the Multiverse that's apparently, part of this universe. But that's more, that's a very much a problem for me. But there's so much content in the game that even if nothing else comes out, you've got plenty. And I just love this game. It is one of my most played games every year because I will set it up and I will do Spirit Island Solo Day. And I will just play spirit after spirit after spirit. And I will try the different scenarios. And I will try, different, just get different things done. And I just have such a good time with it. I love Spirit Island. All right. My number 2 is a jump. It was a little bit lower last year, not that much. It's always been in my top because it's a game that I love so much. This is, there are some games. There are some games that just always work, and this is one of those games that always works. This is Cthulhu Death May Die. Cthulhu Death May Die is a very, free-form game. You're going to shuffle a scenario and a big bad together and then go forth and do. It's cooperative. Each player has 3 actions on their turn, and you're trying ultimately to do some sort of scenario-specific goal, and then that makes the big bad killable, and then you're trying to kill the big bad. It's not a perfect game, right? There's some randomness here, but the randomness is so fun because, as you take damage, there's this thing called sanity damage. And as you take sanity damage, you're going to move up on this track here. You can kind of see when you get to certain thresholds, you're going to activate a madness. And your madness is usually a negative effect that also has some sort of way to spin it positively, like, do 2 damage to everything in your space except you. And that could be other players, but it could also be some free damage on enemies. It's that kind of thing. There's a madness that you can kind of figure out how to make work. And then you're also going to be going up every time you hit a threshold. You're going to go up on a bonus special ability. Every character has a few special abilities, I think 3, and you can upgrade one. Each time you hit the threshold, it gets better and better, and you can choose how to do that. Of course, if you get way to the end of this madness track, which madness is pretty much impossible to heal in the game, so it's a one-way street, and once you get to the end, you die. But it's just a great game. The rules are just the right level of simple that I can show this game to anyone. Someone who never plays games can play this game. And that is why it is such a nearly perfect game for me, because it is so playable. Now, my initial complaint was that there were only 2 big bads in the box, and there were, I think, 10 investigators. The ratio of big bads to investigators is still way off, and it's, way off. There must be 100 investigators, and there's like 6 big bads now. There's, with the expansions, they keep adding more. I just wish that they would say, okay, we're done with investigators, let's focus on enemies. But hey, regardless, it's fun. It's all the scenarios. Some are weird, some are wonky, but they're all fun and easy to play. And this is just a game to set up and enjoy with someone, regardless of how much of a gamer they are. And it always works. I can always count on Cthulhu Death May Die. So let's move on now to my number 1. All right, well, my number 1 is not going to be a surprise for anyone. This is the game that I always want to play. It's the game I always talk about. It is my most played game ever. My number 1 is Summoner Wars. Now, I'm talking here about the 2nd edition, and it took me a while to get there, but 2nd edition has kind of replaced 1st edition. I still love 1st edition, but there's a lot of stuff for 2nd edition, and they keep coming out with more. There's something, close to 30 decks now, and they're all different, and they're all fun, and they're all available, and they're all online too. So, if you don't have someone to play with at home, you can play them there. It's just so good. Summoner Wars is a game that every time I play it, I am satisfied. I can lose big, I can win big, doesn't matter. I'm going to have a great time. I love trying the different decks and trying to figure out their synergies. I enjoy the deck building sometimes, but for the most part, I just play straight out of the box because I often play with newer players or people who don't want to do deck building. And so that's fine. It's easy. It's great. It's fun. And it doesn't take long. I mean, I can take this game off the shelf, set it up and teach it to you, play it, and have it put back within 30 minutes. And there are few games that you can do that with that deliver like Summoner Wars. So it has been my number one game for a long time. It probably will be for a long time. I love Summoner Wars. So that's my list. This was a long episode, but I had 20 games that I really like to talk about. So sorry about it. I guess I really only took 2 minutes per game, if that makes you feel any better. But this has been a lot of fun. I always enjoy doing these top 100 lists every other year, kind of see how my tastes have changed, highlight some new games that I've been enjoying. And I hope you've enjoyed it. Many times people ask me what my favorite game is when I tell them I'm into games. Hey, here's a list. I can tell you as of October, November of 2025, these were my favorites. I'd love to hear what games you're all enjoying. I always love to talk to people about games, the things, especially games you enjoy, right? Things that people are having a good time with, people are excited to talk about, and I'm excited to hear about them. We've gone on real long with this one, so I'm going to just end it here. I'm going to wish you safe travels, courage when you need it, and I hope to see you back again soon for another episode of Wednesday Whimsy. Bye-bye.